Welcome to the Nicole Small Show, where we give you straight talk with no chaser. Here, we discuss issues from the White House to your house. And now, here's your host, Nicole Small.
Okay, I don't know what's going on. This is about to drive me nuts. Not today. Can you guys hear me? Let me know in the comments. This is ridiculous. I'm so sick of this. But you guys can't see me today. How did that just happen? Hold on just 1 second. Okay, I'm about to get very frustrated. All right, that's working. Adding myself to the stream. I can't believe this. You can't even see my picture. Just give me 1 second. It's showing that I'm added, but I see. Can you see me? Okay, no picture. Why is it not giving me a picture and I clearly could see this? I literally have never had this happen before. And it's not even showing a picture in the background. I feel myself getting frustrated. All right, I'm gonna continue until I can figure out what the heck is going on. Today we are going to talk about a couple of things. I want to give you an update. Make sure if you have an opportunity to join. Wait a minute, I think I figured it out. Hold on. It's facing front. Hello, here we go. Goodness gracious. All right, today is Tuesday, and if you have an opportunity at 10 o'clock, make sure that you join the city council meeting. We're hoping to get a vote on the money for the charter commission. So you remember I was telling you about how the mayor only wants to give us $30,000, unfortunately, and he says that this is a sufficient amount of money for us to be able to proceed to make sure that we give you an educational campaign, citywide, mind you. Our goal, and I don't know if I mentioned this before, is to make sure we educate. This is an educational campaign, that we educate at least 400,000 Detroiters in the city. While we know that all of those Detroiters may not come out and participate in the election, it is critical because this is the city's constitution, that we educate them on what's in their constitution, which dictates how government will operate. This is so important. I know a lot of us work on making sure that we increase the voter turnout, But with that said, we still have a duty. When I say I mean the commission, we have a duty and a responsibility to make sure that we share this information. This is so important. And I know I've been talking about this the last couple of weeks. I just want you to understand what this really and truly means. If we allow for voter suppression to take place around the most important document that actually governs this city, then I highly doubt that it would take us quite a bit of time to get that power back. So I want you to know why we're fighting so hard. This isn't about, oh, I'm a commissioner, or that there are 8 other commissioners who have worked, on this document that were elected, as if we just personally want this document for image purposes to be passed. We are fighting so hard because we want you, the Detroiters, to make sure that your rights are not infringed upon. You guys worked on this. We never would have come up with that many revisions. It's because of the participation of Detroiters. And I just don't want you to push this to the side and dismiss it as if, oh, that's just the way the government operates, and we're so used to them taking advantage of us or not representing our best interests. This is important. This is truly important. And I've said this before, to allow someone to abuse their power to tell you, to restrict you from having access to this document is a problem. So I think it's unacceptable. And I also think that it takes us decades backwards. And that's really not the direction that we want to go in. We need to be moving forward. We need to be talking about and forcing our local legislators to push for actions that are more progressive. And that is just truly, truly critical to this process. And I know that right now, and I've said this before, the lines between the separation of powers have been blurred. And it's because we have both members of a legislative and an executive branch that think that, well, you know what, Detroiters will just tolerate this. And I'm saying that you deserve better. You really and truly do. We are doing our best to make sure that we could get this information out to you. We really would like it to be in the form of a booklet, because there are so many revisions. We want to make sure that we mail this information out to you. Also, to make sure we get it in your hands in your neighborhoods. There are some of you, especially as the weather is getting better, who have already committed to being willing to canvass their blocks to make sure that their neighbors get it. We're going to need definitely, and this is going to have to be a concerted effort from the entire community to join together to make sure that we share this information. I just don't want to allow the barriers that are intentionally being placed in the way of making sure that you have access to, again, this important document. And just remember, this document includes so many resolutions and safeguards to the issues that you guys have been championing, for solutions against. And this is what we did. We listened to you. When it came to a lack of affordable housing, we put a safeguard in there. Lack of affordable water, we have that in there. When you talk about the way policing is done, we have some solutions in there. I mean, when you talk about how we have members of both the executive and the legislative branch taking advantage of their positions and not serving the best interests of the people. We talk about corporation counsel, how corporation counsel needs to make sure we created a pathway for corporation counsel to address the people of Detroit. Like, isn't that the city's lawyer? That's what you've been asking for so long. We put that in there. We also talk about the way development is done, responsible contracting. We want to make sure there are some checks and balances, not only to the people who are being employed by these city contracts, but making sure that there's also checks and balances around how government is spending our money. I keep talking to you about how I have submitted a letter months ago to council about what happened to the CARES Act funds. No answer. This is unacceptable. Really and truly, this should be a report that's already made readily available on a city's website. It would in any other city. Like, why do we have to fight so hard and make so many demands? Why do I have to ask you, when you took government money that came into the city and that money was allocated to support Detroiters, who were experiencing financial hardships during a pandemic, why do I have to ask you what happened to that money? It's CARES Act funds. Who's caring about us? It's the whole issue. And now we stand to get the stimulus money, and it's mind-boggling to me how when the report was first written, the article was first published about Detroiters getting around, I think they said around 800, it was 859.59 million. They also had Lincoln Park in the article, and there were two other cities. We were the only city that hadn't outlined how we planned on spending the money. That's dangerous. And still to this day, I haven't heard anything. So we know that there's a plan to spend this amount of money, but nobody wants to tell us. So we really do need those checks and balances actually in effect, right? In effect, and we need them to be enforced. I just don't want to see this city continue to get this amount of money coming in to help solve some of the issues that we are enduring as residents of the city of Detroit, and then it just is thrown out the window to some suburban contractors, or is actually invested into things that are really not a priority to Detroiters. So let's hope the city council is really going to push to increase the amount of money. Now, what they say, now you let the mayor's office tell it. City council can't do anything. At first, they said that it would only be the $30,000 or to vote it down. Well, what came out of Budget and Finance last week is that they're going to send it to the Committee of the Whole. This resolution that was drafted by the CFO's department so under the mayor. So they're going to send the resolution saying that we should get $129,000 to help us finish out this current fiscal year, which ends June 30th. And then to give us $30,000 for just the educational campaign phase. So they didn't really want to vote it down because then we would get nothing. That was my understanding. So it's going back to the Committee of the Whole, and there can be some more inquiries around, well, what did the last Charter Revision Commission receive for this portion? Keep in mind, the deputy CFO claimed that we received around $10,000 or $12,000. I forget, the last Charter Commission received around $10,000 or $12,000 for their campaign phase. They received approximately $190,000 for the 2009 charter, just for this portion of educating Detroiters around the charter. $190,000. And they want to handcuff us to $30,000 for this fiscal year, and then another $45,000 for next fiscal year, which begins July 1. Now you ask me, well, what's the problem with that? Well, absentee ballots go out June 19th. You know, we need to make sure that we educate the absentee voters. We can't wait until July 1 because they go out June. So we need that money in this fiscal year. To make sure that we actually educate Detroiters, and not because we know the majority of Detroiters are still going to vote absentee because of what? We're still in a pandemic. We don't expect a high voter turnout. So these are all reasonable things, but to say that it costs less for anything 6 years later, I want to know, like, what world do you live in? So you're going to give us $75,000 and they received $190,000? There is something wrong with that. And the comments from the mayor, his level of arrogance and dismissiveness around these issues of where we're saying that Detroiters deserve to be educated about what's in their constitution, you know, that part is where Detroiters need to really be outraged as well. He is the mayor of this city, and to take that type of attitude is dangerous to allow him to have that type of attitude and to tell us we need to raise money for a campaign. Excuse me, sir. This is an educational campaign. You know, kind of like how the city just went and bought all of these yard signs that you see out here telling you that they're hiring for general services contractors. So we could get yard signs for that, but we can't do educational campaign and make sure that we get mailers to those people who are still not coming out because of a pandemic, who may have some mobility issues or whatever. This is how you run an educational campaign. It has to be a multi-pronged approach. And we also are going to need to be able to hire some people to get this information out. These are all normal line items in an educational campaign for a citywide election. And the money should come from you to educate you. Like, how dare you tell us to go raise money from an outside entity? We didn't include outside entities in this process. These revisions were written by the public. And I'm quite sure you would rather have your money spent on making sure that you receive and have access to this information, as opposed to spending it on some crap or giving away some more money to corporations. Okay? So make sure that you listen if you can. If you're already reaching out, or if you're going to be on any of the community, the charter mandated district meetings, bring this issue up to the city council members or to the mayor. You know, I'm quite sure you'll be seeing a lot more of him claiming that he's so great for Detroit. So let him know how great he isn't. Let's bring our guest on. Good morning, Reverend Ross. How are you?
Good morning, Nicole. I'm just fine. How about you?
I am doing well. I am doing well. Thank you so much for coming on today. This is Reverend Joan Ross from the Storehouse of Hope. I have worked with her for years ago and for many years. We started off, I want to say, a community benefits agreement. I think that was our first project together. Those of you who remember, there was a community benefits agreement that was proposed to city council for approval. And remember, that's when Scott Benson partnered with Butch Hollowell, and you know, Duggan came up with his own version, which is what we have right now, which is definitely not supporting ensuring that we have transparency, right, with these large development deals. They took the threshold. I think, were we at 15,000 at that time? Where did we start? Yeah, $15,000 threshold. That we wanted to make sure that the community had a seat at the table to discuss what benefits would actually look like. And they increased it to 50,000. Well, now there are 19 amendments that are on the table, just to let you know the level of detail and work that went into this, and how we all know, including council and the mayor's office, whether they want to admit it or not, it was a horrible deal. It was just as horrible as we said it was going to be in the beginning. So we've worked on that, and we've worked on some other social justice issues over the years. So I really appreciate having you here today. So now let's go ahead.
I thank you for having me this morning. I don't know if, are you getting feedback? I'm getting feedback.
Okay. You are. Okay. Do you have your, yes, I can hear myself. Do you have the show on another?
No radios are on anywhere. Just getting some reverberation in your mic.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know what that's coming from, but tell us a little bit about the Storehouse of Hope and how you got started with that project.
Okay. Well, the Storehouse of Hope started in 2007, but in 2015, amidst the huge poor crisis, we started the land trust, the community land trust. And in that year, we purchased about 12 or 13 houses with the goal of trying to sustain those families, build them up, and then use that as the basis for a land trust.
Hold on one second. Let me try something. I'm going to remove you and bring you back in. Maybe that'll fix your feedback. Just hold on one second. All right, let's try that again.
Okay. I'm not hearing it now.
I don't hear it either. All right, go ahead.
Okay. So in 2015, we purchased the properties with the aim of saving these families in their homes, trying to stem gentrification, as well as build those families up. And I think, Nicole, we've been successful showing that a land trust model can help people. Well, we do have one lady, Geraldine Bay, who has been at it since last September, I guess. And it's with lies and half-truths, and right now, even extortion. The latest thing is that she wants us to sign her house over to her. And for us to, that would save my reputation. So we're getting all kinds of threats from her. Her claim is that we have not done maintenance on our house. But we have hired a contractor. We've pulled the permits. We've submitted the drawings. And the contractor has been in touch with her often through this process. So he's due to start tomorrow because they had to order dumpsters and all that stuff. I know this sounds rambling. So why don't you ask me some questions and I'll try to fill it in.
So you have approximately 12 homes, you said? Is that correct?
So right now we only have 9 homes left. We lost 2 in tax foreclosure ourselves.
Okay.
But all of our houses, we've put solar on them. We put roofs on them. We put furnaces in. And we made them so people can afford to purchase their homes. With solar added and all of the other benefits, when they purchase their homes, they won't have those utility bills that got it into the process. And even during this time, we're paying water bills for everybody, including Geraldine, and we're paying the property taxes. Her first story was that we had filed eviction against, and that's not true, Nicole. We don't have.
Well, hold on. Before we get to her, I want people to understand the work that you do. And so, have you had any issues? Am I on speakerphone?
No. No, you're on my computer.
Okay, so I don't know what it is, but we're gonna work.
Yeah, I know. We're still getting the feedback.
Yeah. So you have several homes. The whole purpose, I want people to understand what the purpose of this model was for a land trust. And you said because you knew it was a high level of gentrification coming through this city, you wanted to make sure that we had real affordable housing for some residents in Detroit, so everyone didn't have to be displaced. I want to talk about first some of the challenges that you've endured with the city of Detroit. So there's an issue with some blight tickets.
Right. Well, I have paid the blight tickets, but now she's saying that they're 18.
No, before we get to what she's saying, I want to talk about what the city did to you.
Oh yeah, well.
So you had some blight tickets, and then what got to the point where you received a call from the city? That's what I want to talk about first.
So the first call we got was from Mary Sheffield's office to have a meeting with Geraldine and the city. And at that time, Geraldine expressed that she wanted to buy her house back. And we said, fine. But that's when, before that, the city wrote blight tickets. And they've been writing blight tickets every week. Even though we've submitted drawings, they have the plans and have given us a permit. They've moved, this thing is moved forward for its repairs, but the city still writes tickets. So it's as if we're a big slum landlord taking advantage of little Geraldine.
So was there an issue where you received a call about, did you receive a call about a warrant?
Yes, I
From the
got that
city of
call from
Detroit?
the mayor's, supposedly from the mayor's office, that they were signing a warrant for me.
Oh, and how many blight tickets did you have at the time?
Well, I got a list the other day, and I paid them for $5,000. That was all the tickets on their list.
So maybe around 10 or something like that. Does that sound about right? 10 blight tickets?
Yeah, it may not have been that many, because a couple of them were for $1,600.
Okay. Because the reason why I asked you is that there was a slumlord Kelly, and he had 800 blight tickets, not $800. He had 800 blight tickets. And do you know that the mayor went to city council and proposed that city council forgives $1.8 million in property taxes and 800 blight tickets for him? He didn't have a warrant out, and he got all the way up to 800 blight tickets. That's interesting. But you, someone who owns, a smaller amount of property that has a program in place to help Detroiters actually be able to stay here for an affordable price, you receive a call from the mayor's office threatening you with a warrant for your arrest.
Yes.
That's interesting. In District 5, one of the most highly gentrified districts is where this property is.
That's right.
But they called you.
Yes.
I wonder, did they call the slumlord? That's interesting.
Because
I want to know how he got up to 800 tickets and he wasn't actually arrested. Okay, go ahead and continue. So you got the call. So wait a minute. So after your meeting with with Councilwoman Sheffield's office, then you began receiving all of these blight tickets, correct?
Yes.
Okay,
they double.
They double, right, when you don't pay them. So talk to the listeners about why did the condition of the home get to that point?
Well, that's interesting because she says that her neighbor's car hit her front porch, and that's what started this. So now the roof needs to be replaced, the porch needs to be replaced, and her back steps have rotted. So rot doesn't just happen in a couple of years or 4 years that we've had this house. So she shows a letter to another reporter that she wrote in 2018 that says she has these problems with her house, but she hasn't called because there's a maintenance line. There was a lease in place, and she hasn't paid in 37 months.
Did she have that money in the did she show proof that she has that money in her escrow account for 37 months? No. Because that's the rule. Like, if you're not paying your rent because you're not receiving anything, that you're supposed to put the money in escrow. So there was no documentation showing that the first month, and you just can't put that money into escrow now at the end. You need to be able to show that for all of those months, you have been actually depositing the money in a timely manner. Okay, so let's go back to the part about her neighbor ran into her porch, because I've never heard this story. The story that I'm hearing is that you just let the porch become dilapidated and you didn't want to fix it. So she claims that a neighbor ran into her porch, and that's what happened. Okay, so we have a porch issue. I know that on one of those calls, Councilwoman Sheffield, she did come to view the property, correct?
I don't know if she did or not. I know she got pictures.
Okay. So in your opinion, so she wants you to hand over the deed. And in full transparency, I did speak to, I believe Brian is with the eviction defense. And there was an attempt to try to sit both sides down to see if we could figure out a resolution. I was going to host the meeting and be the kind of like the liaison, because I figured from what I was hearing from both sides then it would be a simple solution to how she could get some of the repairs done, and how, we can make sure that the Storehouse of Hope gets their funding, or if, the tenant always has an option to leave if they want to, because at that time they weren't under a lease. There seems to be, for me, the issue became, then she wanted to have like 6 to 8 people coming on her side. Now these are all facts, because I'm not gonna lie. She wanted like 3 or 4 people from the eviction defense. She wanted her son. Then it was going to be a couple other people from the neighborhood, and I just don't think that that's a good setting to come to a resolution. It sounds like an ambush, in my opinion, and so I removed myself from it. I thought that originally maybe it would have been 2 people on her side, 2 people on your side, so calmer heads can prevail. So I removed myself out of that. So since then, has there been any conversation with both you and then Geraldine herself?
Just the one that Mary Sheffield was supposedly hosting. But
Okay, because
Mary
a lot of
Sheffield did not host it. One of her staff did.
Yeah, I was there for that. It was her chief of staff, Brian White. Another issue that I had is that when it comes time to actually have a discussion around this, there are a lot of health issues that come up with Miss Geraldine, but she never seems to have any health issues when she's out doing these videos for the public and doing interviews. She seems to be very healthy and capable of conveying what her position and what her side of the issue is. So I don't know if this is what people are saying about her, because I've never heard from her personally. So I don't want to say that this is what she's saying, but now we have you paying $5,000 in blight tickets. You haven't received rent in 37 months, and the ask is for you to turn over the deed to someone who has not paid you in 37 months. And what about the accusations that you just have not maintained this home for somebody who hasn't paid in 37 months?
We can, if she called maintenance, that's the procedure that's outlined. She didn't call maintenance. If she wrote a letter in 2018, this is 2021.
Do you have documentation of that letter?
No, I don't have the letter. She showed it to another reporter that she wrote this letter supposedly in 2018.
Well, how did the letter get to you? Was it emailed?
Oh no, I don't have the letter.
No, I'm saying, well, what is she saying? How did the email get to you? How did the email get to you?
It wasn't an email. It was a regular letter that she alleges that she wrote.
I get that part, Reverend Ross, but how did she allege that she submitted the letter to you?
She showed it to a reporter. She showed a copy.
No, Reverend Ross, she showed it to a reporter, so she had to tell the reporter how she gave you this letter. How did she say she mailed it to you? Did she say she emailed it to you? Where's the documentation? Oh,
I don't know.
She hasn't shown you any.
No.
Okay.
She hasn't shown me. So, and in her latest post, she says this can all go away with the stroke of her pen, signing over the deed to my house.
Oh.
Then I can stop hurting. My kids can stop hurting. And her reputation can be saved.
So you could just hand over a house. I want to make sure I understand this. You should just sign over the deed to a home of where she is not paid in 37 months. And your maintenance person hasn't been contacted at all?
No.
Oh, no. Did the number change for the maintenance person?
Oh, no. And my number hasn't changed. You can dial the same number you dialed 10 years ago, and it's my number.
So what was your approach to try to gain access to this home during that period of time?
So we've gone by there, never find anybody there, or the shades are closed. And even during COVID, we try to get food to the people that are in our land trust. We try to take care of them. We have one person that's hired just to see about them. So if we can't ever find you home, or you don't ever come to the door, Or you don't call me and say, I have a problem. How am I supposed to know you have?
But how do we get to the point that she don't pay for 37 months?
So it's always been a
I'm a
story.
landlord. Ain't nobody about to go me 37 months.
Okay, but see, remember when we started the land trust, the idea was to save families in their home. It wasn't to do the tenant-landlord routine. So we have one lady who's the teacher who can only pay during the winter months. So we don't charge her during the summer months. Why charge her when she can't pay? So the land trust was meant to operate differently and not the usual tenant-landlord stuff.
Well, no, I still think that that's a landlord-tenant agreement. If that's just like if you have a person who works construction or roofing, that they probably can pay you up front or something during the summer months, and then they go on unemployment. Like I would work some type of deal out like that, knowing that they were, maybe they were good for it or something like that. But I guess what I'm saying, you really have a good heart, that you allow someone to stay there 37 months and not pay you, and now they're hurling. This is the part I don't understand. There seems to be a strong interest that she has in this home. I think that, with any landlord tenant, when tenants start calling the house their house, right then and there's a fractured relationship when they're just a tenant. Now I'm just gonna be, that's just that's the truth. All right. Like you talking about my house, but you don't own this house. That's a bit of a problem. I guess I don't understand why she doesn't have any documentation of reaching out to you, and she felt like the home was falling apart. And maybe it's because she wasn't going to pay the rent. I don't know. But it just seems like a long period of time for her to live in a home that she claims is so deplorable. Yeah. And then B, that you've allowed her to live there without paying rent, which I think that says a lot. This is a landlord tenant situation, whether you want to see it that way or not. That's exactly what it is. How long has it been since the lease expired?
The lease expired January of 2020. That was when COVID was starting to build up. We couldn't do very much of anything. So the lease actually expired then.
So she's been living there for over a year without a lease, and she's out
technically
here
a squatter.
Boy, she found herself a good landlord, I tell you.
Plus we paid her water bill. I paid her water bill last week. And we paid the property taxes.
Okay. So with that,
no, you gotta go.
No, I don't have to go. So with that, then how does this work? What are the next steps?
Well, we got the contractor, and he's already been paid. The repairs are over $30,000.
Hold on. Reverend Ross, I'm gonna have you do one thing because I'm getting too much
feedback.
Comments about the feedback. Can you log off and then log right back in, and let's see if we can fix this feedback issue?
Okay. I'll be happy to try.
Okay. So I know that there are a lot of people who are really passionate about this issue. I think that there are a couple of moving parts or gaps that we need to figure out. I know that there's okay. Let's see if we can bring her back on. Am I echoing before? Yeah, before I log on, tell me, am I echoing now without her on there? Somebody drop it in the comments for me. Do I have an echo? I need y'all to tell me if you hear an echo with me. No. Okay, thank you. All right, let's try it again. Reverend Ross?
Hi, Nicole.
All right. I think that's much better. I think that's much better. Okay, so let's continue. What are the next steps? You were going to talk about the repairs.
So we had already hired a contractor. It's $30-some thousand worth of repairs. And this is to the front porch and to the back steps. We haven't gone inside the house yet because we've got to take care of the outside if that's causing the problem on the inside. But now we're concerned, she's threatening to picket my office. We don't know if she's going to allow this contractor there. He's concerned. We had one contractor go and she refused to let him come on the property. So we had to
let's
find
stop
another
right there. So let's stop right there. So you sent a maintenance person, a contractor over, I'm
Yes.
assuming to assess what the repairs were so they can give you an estimate. I'm assuming.
Yes.
And so she refused to let the contractor in. See, none of this is getting out in the media. You know, it's as if you don't send anyone to do the repairs. There were claims that the maintenance person said that you wanted to just sell off the property or something like that. So you sent someone over there and they refused to let them in. But here it is that you've allowed for this home to be in such deplorable conditions. Okay, so she said no. And so then, so what do you do from there when she's not going to let a contractor in and do the repairs?
So we hired another contractor who did the drawings, pulled the permit, and he's been in touch with her every week, every day, every other day to let her know the progress, what's going on, where the permits are, what the drawings are. And he talked to her Monday, just day before yesterday, Monday, to tell her that they would bring the dumpster tomorrow, the subject to COVID. When we first started and he started working on the permits, 2 of his guys got COVID and he had to stop. I mean, everybody is subject to that. But the city's not allowing for any of that. They're not allowing for anything that could happen on my side because I'm this big bad landlord that has done all this to Geraldine, that she wants her house back.
Okay, someone is saying, no, Jamil, there is no lease in place. They haven't had a lease in place since January 2020. So they want to know, why can't you give a 30-day notice and evict her?
You can't, because right now there's a moratorium. The first thing she did was go to Eviction Defense, who is this radical group that's just slinging insults and bullying. They've taken a page out of Trump's book, and I was trying to evict Geraldine. I haven't filed an eviction against Geraldine. So that was a lie.
And people are buying into it. I'm going to tell you, I was on a call, a moratorium now, and there's this lady, she want to argue me down about how, you want to sell the home for $14,000. First of all, lady, the house is in District 5. I believe you can get, I don't care what it looks like, you can get $14,000 all day long in District 5. That's just the way that the rate is going. Number two, it was that you were pushing these from Storehouse of Hope, that you wanted to house Black families. First of all, that's illegal for anybody who's selling a property or renting a property. I'm telling you, I know you cannot put those type of stipulations on anything to say that you want to house Black families and to help women. Now, unless it's a women's shelter, you could do that. So, these things that they are stating, some of these are just, they're ridiculous. You know what I mean? And people who really know the process would know that they are ridiculous. And so, I heard that on a call yesterday on moratorium, and there were all other accusations that were heard, but nobody talks about why the tenant hasn't paid the rent. And if you're saying 37 months, I would hope that you have documentation of that. And I would hope that she has documentation that she has been putting her rent into escrow for 37 months. Because otherwise, all of this, trying to strong arm you to hand over a property. Now, see, that takes a lot of nerve to tell somebody to just hand over a property and you haven't paid rent in 37 months. I'm saying, if that's the case, I don't know where they're getting why don't they ante up on the money and buy the house for her, is what I don't understand, since there's such a strong interest. But there needs to be a resolution to this problem. And I'm going to say this, the pandemic, we didn't know about the pandemic. So it happened before that, but we didn't know about the pandemic until March of 2020. So her lease had already expired in January of 2020. And obviously there was non-payment of rent prior to that. I don't understand why everybody is rallying around this. I want to know how many of them people would let somebody live in a house for 37 months and not pay the rent. This whole situation sounds crazy. It must be something that I'm missing. I don't know. I don't know. But so when you get the house fixed up, what are you gonna do?
Well, when we get the house fixed up, hopefully we're going to be able to find somebody. And the 15,000, let me tell you, that was only what we've put into the house. That's the taxes we've paid, the water bills we've paid, and we did put $5,000 worth of maintenance in this house back in 2017. So that's all that is. I haven't tried to jack up the price for the back rent or for the amount we paid for the house. I just said, if you want to buy the house, just give us what we've invested in the house back. And when we get it fixed up, hopefully, if she can't buy it, then we'll find a buyer that can. I mean, because obviously this isn't a land trust candidate.
So even without a lease, and this is what I don't understand. I know someone who was just evicted 3 weeks ago in Oak Park. I'm not understanding why you can't have why she can't be evicted.
I think the moratorium is going till June. The moratorium in Detroit is until June, I believe.
Because the mayor decided to continue it in the city of Detroit.
People
need to understand that.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. Yes, I just want people to understand
that.
So
what happens to small landlords and all those kinds of things during this time?
So what would you do differently now? Would you proceed with a 7-day notice and then go to, I mean, how, I know this has had to change you somehow.
Yeah, well, I thought that this was a way, and all of the people that are in the homes were in these homes when we bought them. So whether they were black or white or single women or women with children, they were people that lived in these houses when we bought them. We didn't change those people. So that whole part, and the program is designed to help people who are 30% and below the area median income, Nicole. These are people that's hardest hit, that can't find places, that can't afford to buy a house. But a land trust, because you separate the land from the house, enables people to be able to purchase homes that have those incomes that are minimum wage kind of incomes. That was the purpose of the program, not to be, 120% of the area median income or any of that. It was to help people, whether they were black or white or whatever, and keep ownership in Detroit. So what would I do the next time? I would say, let's don't have any houses where people already live in them. Let's start from scratch. But you know me, and I'm not going to do that. I'm going to say, let's help people.
I don't think that's an issue. I think you should continue to do that. But I see, me personally, I just think that you should have proceeded. This has got too far out of control. We have some people on the chat saying that the moratorium is only for people with leases. So if this is true, if she can be evicted, are you going to tell her that she's going to have to show proof of money in escrow, or you're going to proceed with eviction process?
So,
and I mean, that would be up to the process, and maybe she won't be evicted to, how 36th District Court is. She might not be evicted to June, July, August, September.
It might be longer than that. I understand there's a backlog, but that would be the normal kind of process. But it's up to the board, because I do answer to a board that reviews this, and their goal was make people sustainable, make them able to afford their home, and help them as much as we could. So there's a lot to be decided.
I think you've done more than help. Just from what we're hearing from you, like I said, the only thing that I've heard from the other side is through other people. I have never personally spoken with Ms. Geraldine Bay at all. But I'm gonna tell you this: when you listen even to their side, it amazes me that some of the people that I know who have joined in on this effort, and no one is giving her any advisement to be responsible for her side as a tenant. I've just never heard of that in my life, but maybe they have their own reasons. Like I said, I stepped away from it when it was quite clear that she didn't want to convey her position for herself and maybe one other person with her. She wanted to have, at least I counted them, it was going to be about 6 people on her side, people from eviction defense, her family, people who don't even live directly on that block, but other people who had come to you know what I mean, to speak to her. And I think that this is a problem for them to try to discredit you for all of the work that you have done. And who are you, Jadante Smith? No, I don't know about you saying that the lady is lying, because I've known Reverend Joan Ross, so maybe it's a difference of opinion, but I'm gonna say this, to talk about how she's shady and how she's a horrible landlord. I think the work speaks for herself, and the fact that she has several other properties. I'm gonna tell you something about a slumlord. A slumlord is never, with multiple properties, is never a slumlord for just one property. That's not the way that this works. I've known long enough, and I know some real slumlords. But instead of everybody trying to attack you, what needs to happen is somebody needs to try to come to a resolution between both parties, because this isn't going to work. And I want to say this too. Anybody who don't live in the city of Detroit, who has so much to say about somebody who has done such great work in Detroit, and you don't even want to reach out and speak to this lady, that's a problem for me. Yeah. It's a problem. I don't understand it. I think that, you know, I wish that the city council could have helped you guys come to some type of happy medium. Again, it sounds like this woman wants to stay in her house and she has strong ties to this home. Does she live alone?
No, she has supposedly, her kids are teenagers or bigger, because they were teenagers 5 years ago, so they've got to be grown. And Nicole, one thing to remind you, her rent was $141 a month. That was the amount she said she could pay. We didn't even charge people. We charged them what?
Stop. Just stop for 1 second. Her rent was $141 a month, and she hasn't paid you in 37 months.
Her rent is $141.
Who were rallying for her, why they couldn't help her get a fund to pay her rent? I think, you know, this is what I think, Reverend Ross. I think that somehow, I don't know if she's employed. I think that she has experienced some financial challenges, right? Yeah. During the years. I'm not making any excuses, but I mean, I don't know her. So I don't know if she just woke up one day and said she's not going to pay the rent, but it sounds like maybe she was experiencing some financial challenges and whatever, it's gotten out of control. But $141 a month, and you haven't received any money in 37 months. I mean,
and I paid a water
bill right there. That's not anything else. That's just a water bill. And they want to talk about you not paying the property taxes on time. I bet you are going to take advantage of that 3-year grace period. I just bet you would if somebody was only giving you $141 a month. And I don't know if these people have ever owned property. That's the part that kills me. Somebody giving you $141 a month. You have to pay, you paying the water bill and the taxes, and they think that they are going to discredit you because you take advantage of the 3-year grace period for taxes. You better get some property on it and be a landlord. Now that's where I'm gonna stand my ground on. How dare you talk about this woman, Reverend Joan Ross, and you want to claim, well, she hasn't paid all the taxes. This woman hasn't paid her rent. $141 in 20. I don't know, when was people paying $141 a month? Do you supplement? Is her rent supplemented from HUD or something?
Oh no. I don't have any supplements.
$140 when you live in properties that's supplemented by HUD.
No, we don't have any HUD subsidy or anything like that. And I guess the other part, Nicole, is that if you think this is advocacy, this is not advocacy. And there is no justice issue here, because we didn't overcharge this woman. We didn't beat up this woman. We paid her water bill. We even offered her a job with us to come and work with us. She said it was too far on the bus. So I don't know what else I could have done. I mean, I really don't. I just, how do you think this is
whoever this person is, Smith, saying you have $18,000 in blight tickets. That's what was said yesterday. Is that true?
I don't know. I got a letter from the city, it was $5,000. I paid my $5,000. Now, if there's more that's been added, if they know something about $18,000, then I would have to ask the city, why are you writing blight tickets if we've already filed and gotten permits and you've seen the plans and approved the plan?
Well, if she
Why are you
received $5,000 in rent, Mr. Smith, then where are the receipts? Why don't we ever see these receipts produced? Like, she hasn't received rent in 30-some dollars. So where the post the receipt of where she just recently got $5,000. Like, we can end all of this, because if you can show me that, you can't just say because somebody didn't fix the house that they don't have to pay their rent. That's not how this works. Where is her receipts that she's been paying $141 in the escrow? That's what I'm saying. So we can solve all of this today. Show us where Geraldine Bay has been paying $141 into escrow and any late fees that may have occurred. Now that I will support. But we're not going to talk about somebody having some blight fees, and we're not going to talk about the tenant not paying rent. This won't be a one-sided story. She paid the rent directly to her. Well, where are the receipts that she paid the rent for the last 37 months? She stopped paying is my point. She can't do that by law. She has to pay it into escrow. Well, if the house is unlivable, then why don't she move? You making no sense. I'm not gonna do that. Let's take a caller. Good morning and welcome to the Nicole Small Show.
Good morning, Nicole and Reverend Ross. Good morning. People make excuses because they don't want to pay. If the house, like you said, is unlivable, move your behind out of there and go stay somewhere else. Because it couldn't have been my house. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Hold on for a second, Kenny. No, you're wrong. She has to pay the rent into escrow. If she's not going to pay the landlord because she feels like the repairs aren't being done, I will give you that. But she can't just simply stop paying her. She has to pay it in the escrow. You don't just get to say that you just not gonna pay anybody. It's her generational wealth. Oh, you crazy. Go ahead, Kenny. I'm not about to do that.
Right. Well, he wrong because I was a court officer. I was down in the courts. I worked for the courts, 36 district. You have to put money in the escrow, and you can't just talk about you gonna stop paying. I worked in the courts for the landlord-tenant courts too when they moved us around. So people just say stuff off the top of their head. They need to do their research on the law. You can't do that. That's why I don't got a two-family flat. I wish I would rent out to people in this out here. Period. I let cats and dogs stay up in that mother before I let people stay up in there, because that's what they do. They don't want to pay you. Then when they got to move, they want to tear your house up. I done seen it happen to my partners and everything. And then they want to make all kind of excuses when they live horrible. And the city is so sad because they haven't react. You know, I've been going through hell with my neighbor over here. You know, these white folks next door, they moved in, and it's terrible. And I've been calling how they living with trash all in the backyard. They ain't doing nothing. But if it been out in Grosse Pointe or somewhere, they behinds would have been out of there. And it's sad how the city is working. And the news need to be called and film all this. And people quit making excuses. When you're wrong, you're wrong. That's the bottom line. And they talk about what the lady hasn't paid. Well, she ain't paid no rent. So talk about that.
That's what I'm saying. And this person talking about you haven't done your research. No, you haven't done your research. If you gonna tell me she could just stop paying rent and not pay it in the escrow, you know how many houses have you owned and leased out? Because I bet you I've been a landlord far more times than you. Get out of here with that. See, that's a bunch of mess, and this is why they don't have a solution.
People like that, because they're gonna keep arguing you back and forth when they don't know the law. And I know the law. I know the law, and
that's what I'm saying. It is the law. And if the lady has paid Reverend Ross, I'm saying produce. The West Side is coming out. I know you're not threatening me. I know that. I know you're not threatening me. I know you're not threatening me. Cause this not the energy that you want. If the lady paid, because this is my whole thing. If she paid the rent, I said produce the receipts. Prove Reverend Ross wrong. That's the bottom line. Prove Reverend Ross wrong. If she paid the rent, we can end all of this today. We can end all of this today.
You don't even go through all that when people talk like that, because they don't want to talk like adults. They want to use threats and West Side. Man, nobody want to hear all that kind of stuff. That's why black folks in the position we in.
Look at him talking about somebody bougie. Bougie, that's not bougie because you own property. So no, what the problem is that you want to get somebody something for free. That's the whole problem. So if you think that everybody should go around here and not own nothing, then you the fool, because I thought that's real generational wealth, is when you own property. Okay. And if you choose to rent, you choose to rent. There's nothing wrong with that. But I'm saying the law is the law. The law that was back then is the same law that's now. If you're going to stop paying your rent, then you need to put it in the escrow. And I think the saddest thing about it is that you're being attacked and nobody wants to produce the receipts. Like, we can end this now. If Reverend Ross, if the lady has been paying her rent in the escrow and she's asked you to do the repairs and you refuse, then they should produce that and we can end all of this right now and it could be done with. But until somebody produces some receipts, this is all just a crap show. And I don't understand how it has gotten this far out of control. I don't understand how what Detroiters are experiencing right here, right now, with all of this gentrification and not being able to find a place to live, why somebody wouldn't want to work through the issues with you. And if you didn't want to work through the issue with them, I don't know how much more you could do for somebody. Now, I think that you too should be able to have to prove that, you know, she hasn't paid you for 37 months. That's your responsibility as the landlord. But I'm going to tell you this, when you stop paying your rent, they supposed to let you know that it's in escrow and where it is. And you haven't received any of that information?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No.
Nothing is in escrow.
This is crazy. I've never heard of anything like this in my life. So what's going on with this protest? They're going to come protest you because you allow somebody.
They said they're going to demonstrate my office. Yeah, they're going to demonstrate at my office on Thursday or whatever day for me to do the right thing and sign Geraldine's deed back over to her and give her her house. So if the issue is around their tax foreclosure piece, then I'm not the one that did the tax foreclosure. It's not the Storehouse of Hope. We tried to find a solution for the people that were in the tax foreclosure. Geraldine lost her house in 2015, not in 2021.
Wow.
And you know what, Nicole? I guess
maybe she'll pay the rent after you do the repairs. Has that been a conversation that both of you have had?
No, and you know, the idea is the land trust. This is not a candidate for a land trust. A land trust is someone who works with community to try to solve the problems. This is not, you know, all this that she said about us and it'll spoil my reputation and all that. It goes counter to the work that we've tried to do to save community. And everything we've done has been to save community. It's not, you know, nothing for Reverend Ross.
Well, I think that hopefully some people come out and support you publicly. I hope that you get someone that maybe can resolve this issue, because this is just going on too long, to be honest with you. And
it is.
And the fact that, I mean, none of this makes sense according to how lease agreements go, from what I'm understanding. And again, until we can see the documentation that shows that she has at least put the money into escrow and that she had been contacting you about repairs, I'm not understanding what else you are supposed to do if that is the case. You know, I mean, for someone to say because their grandmother lived there, do you know how many people have lost their home because somebody lived in the house before them that was a family member? Like, that's just not the way the world works. I hate to see families losing their home, especially to illegal tax foreclosure, okay, which is a real issue. Not someone not paying $141 in rent. There has to be more to the story there about that $141. Now, I'm gonna just be honest with you. Something is not making sense to me that someone would not want to pay $141 in rent. Let's take another caller. Good morning and welcome to the Nicole Small Show.
Good morning. Good morning. I have an issue with the fact that the eviction defense is a white-led organization. that is supposed to be an advocacy organization, supposedly be advocating for Black people, low-income Black people, renters, and around housing. But they don't see an issue with coming out and attacking a Black woman who has been leading the charge around land trust in this community. And as Reverend Ross had explained, the land trust is specifically for, low-income people who have earning people who are earning 30% of AMI. Now that's, as you said, and everyone says, oh my God, that's ridiculous. But she's preserving housing. And then we have this white-led organization that's coming out and attacking what she's doing. Now that's a problem. And I think that also shows what's happening here in the city of Detroit. That they don't have a problem as an advocacy group that's supposed to be supporting and working with Black people, that they are attacking this Black woman. That's a problem. I have a problem with that as a Black woman, as a tenant myself, who pays, my rent. And even when I don't, like if I couldn't, I would appreciate having a landlord, like her, in the connection and the communication. But that's a problem. And I think that we should talk about that. That's on the code.
I agree. Thank you. And I too thought that the eviction defense group were out here trying to help people, to work through these issues. I don't know if it's the eviction defense who's leading all of this. I know that they're a part of it, supporting her. I just find it hard to believe that they would tell her that she doesn't need to put money in escrow. I don't know about that. I mean, if that's the direction that they're going to go in, I find that shocking from what I know about them. I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong, but I find it hard to believe that they wouldn't want to advise her to show proof that she has been putting her money in escrow. You have all of these large, the Dan Gilberts and these corporations buying up land, displacing our people. We have people down who are forging deeds to put their names on people's houses. All kind of crazy stuff is going on in this city. And I don't understand how this situation even got to this problem. I think that Ms. Geraldine needs to probably speak for herself, because obviously based on the person on this feed, you getting some poor advice. And I think that this issue could have been worked out. Yeah. I just don't understand it. This has gotten too far out of control. And I think the fact that you have several properties and this is the only property that you're having an issue with, it speaks volumes.
Yes.
This really speaks volumes.
Yeah.
Let's take another caller. One moment. Good morning. Welcome to the Nicole Small Show. Do you have a question or comment? Hi, this is the Nicole Small Show. Do you have a question or comment?
So I was going to say, are you aware of how much money this Reverend Ross spent to buy that house in foreclosure?
No, I don't care. But go ahead.
She spent $1,200 to buy that property in foreclosure. She received $5,000 in rent before the lady.
She said, okay, so wait a minute. Okay, so you know about the rent. So let me talk to you. When she received the $5,000 in rent, was that recently to pay the back rent? Is that what I'm hearing?
No, she stopped paying. The lady stopped paying rent in 2018 when Geraldine Bay, because of the deplorable condition of the house. The house hasn't been fixed.
Hold on. Let's get to the $5,000, because maybe we could resolve this, right? So she paid $5,000 in rent. But are you saying from 2015 to 2018, or I'm just not clear?
Sometimes she stopped paying her in 2018 because of the house condition, because she didn't want to pay rent.
Okay, well, what did she do with the money? Can you answer that? Did she put it in escrow? Can you solve the?
No, she hasn't paid that woman rent.
No, that's not what I asked you. I asked you, did she put it in escrow?
No, that's a no. But you wouldn't pay rent for a house.
No. The law is you have to pay it in the escrow. So you're saying she hasn't paid any of the money in the escrow? Is that what you're saying? We trying to get to the bottom of this, so I don't need you to plead the case.
I was gonna say, so I actually myself had Malia Howard come out, as well as
I don't care. No, I don't want to talk about that. I want us to talk about what has actually happened with the money. And so you're not gonna overtalk me if that's what you're thinking to get your point out. But we might could come to a resolution if you gonna answer the question. Is any of the money? Listen, sir. Have any of the money been paid in the escrow? Yes or no? Has any of the money been paid in the escrow? Yes or no? You're saying no. Are you saying no? Are you saying I'm not asking her to pay the rent? So you don't want to answer it. So you know what? That shows you the money hasn't been paid in the escrow. So I never heard of anybody saying that. Why would you? What? And if the house is in such deplorable conditions, then okay, she doesn't have to pay the rent to you. I'm just asking if the money has been paid in the escrow, then that shows that she has done what she is supposed to do as a tenant to say, listen, you're not fixing up this home and I'm going to go and pay it into escrow. And she also has to provide that in court. The judge is going to ask her, has she paid this money into escrow? That makes no sense. I don't know where they come from that they think that she could just stop paying rent. This doesn't get us to any type of solution. Do you have an attorney, Reverend Ross?
Yes, we do.
So what is your attorney saying? Have they found that she's paid the money into escrow so we could get past this issue?
No, there is, and she has an attorney as well, and there has been no escrow and no comment about escrow.
So you got a group of people who think that they're gonna make up their own rights. If everybody who don't pay, who's renting from somebody, can go and just not pay their rent and not put it in the escrow, like what makes them think that she has a separate set of rights than anybody else? Like, I don't understand this. Did you tell her that she didn't have to pay you some rent? Because now I'm starting to feel like
Nicole. No, come on.
I'm starting to feel like maybe you told her that she didn't have to pay any rent.
We had a lease in effect that says, here's what I'm going to do, here's what you're going to do. And that's not been followed. So no, I wouldn't tell her she doesn't have to pay rent. And what we paid for the house is immaterial. That's not the issue. We've more than paid for water. During 5 years, we paid property taxes. Yes, we do pay the oldest tax and not the newest tax. But I'm also perplexed about how these organizations like Charlevoix Village Association, why would they come after a nonprofit if they were so concerned?
I know Toya and them and Brett Boy. Okay.
Well, that's who the latest posts are from, Charlevoix Village.
I'm gonna have to call Toya. Maybe she can explain to me what the heck is going on, because these other people just sound like they want you to hand over the house and that the lady didn't have to pay any rent. Now that I'm not gonna support. Now, if she put her money in escrow and she told you she wanted some repairs done and you didn't do the repairs, then I'm gonna have to side with her. But if that's not the case, I think that this is a good point.
Here's the comment from Charlevoix Village. Storehouse of Hope and Reverend Ross refused to make repairs to Geraldine's home. Even the city agrees. They are now issuing blight tickets every week for the same repairs that need to be done immediately. As of 4/29, there are 49 total blight tickets, adding up to $18,000. So that's Charlevoix Village. Why wouldn't they come and say, hey, Rev, why don't we help you, whatever the problem is, to keep this lady in her house? Why would they come and say all these things? So I guess I have trouble with the organizations that are seating at the table, supposedly doing advocacy work, when this isn't advocacy work.
I don't know. This sounds like a mess. I guess they think that they're going to rally and be big mad at me too, but I don't care. You're not going to tell. I'm not supporting anybody who's going to say that we need to have people living here and they don't have to put their money in escrow. I just don't understand that. I don't understand why they wouldn't support her and help her get some of the money to put in escrow. Like, it's the right thing to do. This makes no sense. They can support her all they want, but why don't you support her with some good efforts? I don't know. I wish you really and truly the best of luck. This situation sounds, I've never heard of anything like this. Not even when I watch court TV. Like, I've never heard of anything like this. And, you know, if she wants to stay in the house because she has some sentimental and emotional attachment there, I get that too. But the facts are that the house was foreclosed on you. Then someone else came, and in order for you to stay there, she probably was paying less to you in rent than she was to someone else than what she was paying and had the mortgage on it. I mean, I don't think even back then she could have paid $141. Oh no, she lost it to property taxes. Her property taxes might have been more than $141 a month, because you know how crazy they are with these property taxes. But I just don't understand where everything went wrong. I mean, just 141. I'm not understanding that. I'm not, and she seems to have a large base of support, people who really support her. I don't understand why they wouldn't help her pay the rent. I don't understand why they wouldn't tell her that you need to call the maintenance person or send, and let's just take that part out of it. She probably gonna say she called maintenance, and then you gonna say that she didn't. But where is the communication? And you can't pop up with one letter from 2018. This person has been owning the house since 2015, and then you haven't paid the rent in 37 months. It just seems like there would be more communication telling you, hey, landlady, I need you to come over here and to fix this. And she has a right to do that as a tenant, right? To tell you to come and fix up this house. But you just don't wait until the end. And then you rally all of these people around her. I don't understand how this is going to do the community any good. It's my whole point. And we have 2 Black women now who are on either side, and I'm not going to be bothered with this free spirit garbage where people think that people should be able to live for free. That I'm not supporting, but it seems like there's a huge piece missing, and I hope that y'all figure it out. I really do. I hope that y'all figure it out. Because she's really getting a lot of media attention around this, but I'm surprised the media don't ask for any of this information. Because I haven't seen it. I literally have not seen it. And then you listen to the people supporting her, they can't show you any proof. They just want to tell you, oh, well, this is her grandmother's house or it's in deplorable conditions. Lord have mercy.
So did you ask them who hit the house? What car hit the house? And whether there was an insurance settlement made for the car that hit the house?
Right, they should have got the insurance, got the money off the insurance company for that.
And when the house got hit.
I don't know. I'm gonna call Toya and I'm gonna find out what's going on. I just don't believe that she's supporting anything like this. It must be something else missing. So I think Toya will tell me over there at Charlevoix Village. This not making sense. I must be missing something.
Well, I think most of it's coming from Detroit Eviction Defense and those guys, but they're part of Charlevoix Village.
When is this protest supposed to take place? So people who want to come out and support you, they can show up at the protest too. Is it Thursday at 3 o'clock?
It's Thursday at 2 o'clock, I think is the time she set. But you know what? We don't want to drag other people out and involved in the middle of this chaos, because that's what this is, Nicole. It's about producing chaos.
Oh boy. All right. Well, best of luck to you, Reverend.
Thank you, Nicole. Thanks for having me on the show today. Best of luck to you. When we need to fight together, we'll fight together. I'll see you out in the trenches.
Change your city around for the better. All right. Have a great
day. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Woo, I don't know what to say. This is an interesting story. I hope that they hurry up and end this soon. I don't know how she gonna get around. Now those permits and stuff that you get from the city, they are backlogged. So I don't know if when that house gonna get fixed. I'm gonna be honest with you. It's probably gonna get worse before it gets better, especially since they're dealing with the city. But I do think the city has a lot of nerve to threaten her with a warrant. But did you call any of these other? Did you call the Illages? You remember when they had all of that dumping and they wasn't cleaning up like they were supposed to? I wonder were they threatened with the warrant? See, it just shows you how it's 2 sets of rules in this city for the people versus the corporations. And that's the part that we should really be sick and tired of, is how they treat us versus how they treat them, and how they afford these corporations so many and these developers, and I guess these big landlords, right? Like landlord Mike Kelly, 800 blight tickets. There's no way, if he had received his phone call at $5,000 worth of blight tickets, I think that he would have long ago been in jail by the time he got to the number of 800 blight tickets. That's what I think, but he didn't. You know what he received? Forgiveness for $1.8 million in property taxes. Forgiveness for 800 blight tickets. So that's what he received. But forgiveness, right? They forgave it. I want you to keep in mind, not that they said that they took the money out of the money that they paid him for the land. They just forgave it. That's interesting. But she had to pay her blight tickets. Well, they were in her name. It is her responsibility as a landlord. But I'm just saying that is so interesting. And then the mayor's office calls her and threatens her with a warrant for her arrest. How did we get there? And this is the administration that we have leading this city. This is the reason why we definitely need change in this city. I just, the unmitigated gall that they have and how they treat our people is ridiculous. You know, it's unconscionable that someone can think that as they are elected by the people in order to serve the people, that they could treat them in this way. And I understand that corporations and large developers, they bring dollars, they bring jobs, development, you know, is great for the aesthetics, you know, of a city. I get that part. But how do you just overlook everything that they do? And do you know the only time that we ever really see any accountability from this group of people is when we have to go through such great lengths and protest and call and make it a big issue. That's the only time. Why can't somebody just do the right thing? Why can't you say, because I made a phone call to Reverend Ross, I'm definitely going to hold you accountable to the same standard. And I'm going to make a phone call to you. Because I'm quite sure their amount of blight tickets are far greater than what she had to pay. And I'm using Reverend Ross as an example, but I want to be honest with you. This is going on across the city. We have districts that have been talking about these out-of-town investors buying these homes and some of these same companies that have been caught just dumping in our neighborhoods, but they still get contracts from the city. How does that work? How do you reward them for bad behavior? And when they dump in front of these homes in these neighborhoods or in these alleys, they're dumping on Detroiters. How do you not have a problem with that? And you reward them with a contract. So basically what's going to happen, because don't forget, we have some of these towing companies who do business with the city. So contract through the city, right? Then you have some of these other demolition contractors, some of these other people doing work in the city, construction in the city, and they're dumping. So when they do that, they're dumping on Detroiters. So we're paying people to dump garbage on us? That's the reality. Don't we deserve better than that? Don't we deserve better than that? But we have an administration that says, well, you know, they donate to my campaign, or, you know, I have a certain relationship with them. So it's more important for you to maintain a relationship with these contractors than it is to make sure you do right by the people who you work for. This has really gotten out of control. This has really gotten out of control. And I'm going to tell you this right here and right now. There shouldn't be any organization that's led by a group of people who either don't live here or a group of people who really don't look like us and be attacking one of us. That's a problem too. And we need to think about that. We need to think about how we open up the door to others to come in here and to attack one of our own, to take advantage of our own people, and to basically strip us of our resources and our city assets. And it's happening so often. Sometimes I wonder if we become conditioned to this type of treatment. And all that I'm saying is that I hope that you are not becoming conditioned to this type of treatment, because you don't have to tolerate it. It's not right. There has to be some room for change. We have to be clear about our demands. But this dumping issue, this is a problem. And it's getting worse. And you know, one thing else I noticed really quick, because I'm going to have to get off in 4 minutes. You notice how the grass is growing high already on the median? So what I was thinking, you going to wait till June to come cut the grass again? I was just wondering. Because we hear so much about how we needed to support this $250 million bond to get rid of blight, right? Isn't that kind of like a part of blight? Because you see grass growing tall around these areas that's not being maintained. When they gonna cut the grass? Oh, I was just thinking like maybe with that $860 million that you have coming into the city, that you could start cutting our grass earlier. So you have an administration that claims to care about, you know, abandonment in our neighborhoods, that always claiming that they want our communities to look better, but they're not doing their part. Now I do see them trimming more trees right now because it's an election year. But why don't you go ahead and cut the grass too? Because you know my opinion about demolition. It was intentional how they allowed some of these homes that could have been rehabbed early on, you know, back when Duggan was doing that bid rigging with those 3 companies and everything that was supposed to go through and do demolition and all of this stuff. They could have rehabbed some of those homes back then and they didn't. Be careful about the words that they use, how they want to destroy, tear down, tear down, tear down. Where are they reinvesting back into our communities to rebuild? And reinvestment and a resurgence does not always have to come with gentrification. Stop moving people into our neighborhoods who are only going to increase our property taxes because they want to take out these huge loans and everything. That's not what we need either. We need better community partners. So if we're going to have inclusion in our community, it needs to be inclusive of those who want to be a part of our community, not move right in and to take over. We don't need any more of that either. But we need to make sure that we demand that our city government is going to use our resources to benefit us. And so that's why I keep talking to you about this money that we have coming in. We need it. We need it to work for us, not to work for others who don't even live here, or just to work for those who already have more than they will ever spend in their life. What about the least of us? When do we get to that part? When do we have leadership that cares about those people, right? The least of us. They sure come around asking the least of us. See, they don't care about your economic status when it comes to a vote. You ever notice that? They only care about your economic status when it comes to representing you. If you don't fall within a certain income guideline, they kind of just push you to the side. You notice that? Funny how that works. You could be poor as 2 wood nickels, but if they know that you vote, they want to engage with you. But let me tell you, once elected, the problem is, then they want those 2 wood nickels to turn into like thousands of dollars, millions of dollars. That's when they really want to deal with you. And they give you all type of services and resources. But more importantly, they give these people a certain level of dignity and respect while they disregard the interests of the people who help really put them there. I don't care how much money you raise on a campaign. If those people can't vote for you, isn't there a certain level of respect that should be given to the voters that we're missing? Why do we have to fight you to even get documentation on how you spend public dollars? The amount of money that they charge a lot of our people just to FOIA documentation, as if we don't live here, as if it isn't our public dollars that you spent. And you have enough nerve not to want to make that information accessible to our people. I'm saying all of this together is a part of the play. The games that they're playing, they put all of this together in order to sabotage our interests. And I want you to pay attention to that. We got folks fighting over fighting over houses. Then you got another outside group telling people that they don't have to pay rent. Then you want to condemn a woman who's done great work, and you never talk about that. Let me tell you something, people. Reverend Ross might not be 100% right in this situation, but I want you to think about something. The fact that she has done work, the fact that she has been out here with us, she has worked with myself. She has worked with other activists, Detroit People's Platform. She has worked with, I know, TPA when they were over there too. It was New Era Detroit back then. She has worked with some of us who are grassroots activists to help push agendas for the betterment of Detroiters. And when I'm saying to you, if we allow, and some of these people are from Detroit who are supporting going against Reverend Ross, but if we allow another group of people to come in from the outside to tell us about somebody who has tried to help us, that's a problem. It's a way to do everything. And the way to do it is not to condemn or just to totally discredit her, and you haven't even talked to her. Like, how dare you do that? And we allow it. It has to be some rules to this stuff around here. It has to be. But that's what we let them do in this government too. We allow for the administration that's supposed to work for us to bring in others and to put them ahead of our own needs and our interests. When are we going to close the door? Get our stuff together first before we start allowing everybody else to come in and take over. It's nothing wrong with saying no sometimes. We need to do a better job, but we just allowing everybody to come in. They buying up schools. They taking over property at a rapid rate. They taking these business opportunities that are not even being afforded to our legacy businesses who have been here when they never even wanted to come. That's our job, to protect our own. We have to do that. We have to do that. That's our responsibility. Let's stay focused this year and make sure, again, we make the next 4 years better 4 years. And I don't mean better for others. I mean better for ourselves. Better for us. Like, let's put us first, right? Let's get our stuff together. And then we can start worrying about other people if that's what you choose to do. But we have to first realize the position that we're in. And then figure out how we can advance opportunities for our community. And it's the Detroiters who live here who should be our community. That's all I have to say. Make sure that you join us next Monday at 8 a.m. on the Nicole Small Show. Thank you so much. Have a safe week. And have a safe week. And there's something else coming up. Wait a minute. I told you about City Council. Oh, it's a community meeting and I can't think of it. Somebody else is having a district community meeting, I think, this week. Or it's about the legacy. I'm sorry, y'all. I forgot what it is. So have a safe week and I'll see you on Monday. Bye.